Is cultural globalization cultural imperialism? Have you ever wondered if the spread of cultures around the world is a sign of progress or a form of dominance? This question leads us to explore the relationship between cultural globalization and cultural imperialism. Let's break this down. Cultural globalization is the process where cultural practices, ideas, and values spread globally. This often happens through communication networks and economic systems like capitalism. On the other hand, cultural imperialism refers to one culture imposing itself over another, typically favoring the dominant culture. When we look at capitalism, cultural globalization appears as a natural result of market forces. Capitalism thrives on competition and efficiency, which often leads to the global spread of products and ideas. For example, multinational corporations market their products worldwide, introducing new lifestyles that can replace traditional practices. Think about fast food chains or international fashion brands. These companies often promote Western consumer culture in non-Western societies. This raises the question, is this cultural globalization or cultural imperialism? Some argue that cultural globalization is a form of imperialism. They believe it imposes Western norms and values, potentially eroding local traditions. Others see it differently. They view it as a voluntary exchange where people choose to adopt new cultural practices they find appealing. In the context of capitalism, cultural globalization is driven by economic interests. Companies aim to expand their markets and increase profits. This can lead to cultural homogenization, where local cultures become more similar to the dominant global culture. However, it also creates opportunities for cultural exchange and innovation. When different cultures interact, they influence each other in various ways. For instance, local cuisines may incorporate elements from global food trends, creating new dishes that reflected both local and global influences. Cultural globalization can be seen in the rise of global media platforms. These platforms allow diverse voices to share their stories, contributing to a richer cultural dialogue. While some may worry about cultural homogenization, it also reflects consumer choices and preferences. So, is cultural globalization cultural imperialism? It really depends on how one views cultural exchange and power dynamics. From a capitalist viewpoint, cultural globalization is a natural outcome of market forces and consumer preferences. However, it is essential to acknowledge the potential for cultural homogenization and the importance of cultural sensitivity in global interactions. In the end, the relationship between cultural globalization and cultural imperialism is complex. It involves understanding how cultures interact and influence each other in a world shaped by capitalism.